morning and welcome to IndiGlobal Tech Talks, the part of the IndiGlobal Media Network initiative, where we bring in people who have made contributions in their respective field and reached great heights. Today we have with us Bharani Kumar Aroll, President, Tech Triad, and a former president of HYSEA, the Hyderabad Software Enterprises Association. Welcome to IndiGlobal Tech Talks, sir.
Thank you very much, Kiran, for having me here, and a very good evening to all of you. Because I'm currently in the US, so obviously, thanks for having me.
It is 7 o'clock in the evening in Hyderabad over here, sir. So thank you so much for joining in and taking out time for us. So the first question, which I would be interested, viewers also would be interested, is, sir, how does the US look at the IT industry in Hyderabad and Telangana in particular?
Well, I think, very appropriate question to start our conversation with. Basically, we all know that, let's say the entire world is going through some economy slowdown. But I think there are a lot of positive signs here in the US, as I see in the ground, that the economy is kind of recovering because the last quarter GDP in the US has grown by 2.4%, which is a good sign. I think the inflation also started coming down a little bit. These are all very positive signs, and the employment rate also, the unemployment rate rather, is going down in the US. So these are the positive indicators as to how economy is reviving back now. I mean, we talked about a possible recession and all that stuff, and a long recession, and a soft recession. So many different, talks were going on. But at this point in time, I think we are in the process of recovery, and definitely things are looking much better. On your question about how America is looking at the IT industry in India or in Hyderabad or Telangana in particular, I think Hyderabad, particularly Telangana as a whole, is doing phenomenally well in terms of the IT industry growth, right? I know we will discuss more about that as we get into the conversation in detail. But I think one of the biggest advantage that Telangana and Hyderabad has is the kind of ecosystem it has created, right, in the overall IT industry. It's just not from a services perspective alone, but the startup ecosystem, and also added to that, there is so much of other let's say infrastructure that has been created, which makes Hyderabad, Telangana much more attractive to American corporates, particularly American corporates here. And another one of the aspect that I see is that most of them are also developing their own centers, global capability centers in India, particularly in Hyderabad and Telangana, because Hyderabad seems to be a very attractive proposition for them from a cost, talent, and many different aspects, infrastructure perspective. So I think as we see the next couple of years, the IT industry is certainly going to grow as we anticipated. I'm sure it will touch close to $400 billion in the next few years in terms of the IT exports from India. Hyderabad will play a major role in that, and there's a lot of positive signs to it because we look at the next wave of technology. AI is being talked about a lot, and I think Telangana at this point in time is being considered, rather talked about as the AI capital of India, which means there's tremendous potential as we grow.
You're talking about the ecosystem that has been created, and actually here I would like to also want you, as a former president of HYSEA, to take us through this particular. In the last decade, this ecosystem, what we see today, is basically, the hard work that it took in the last, let us say, decade or so. If you can kind of, throw some light on this particular journey.
Absolutely. So, I mean, combined Andhra Pradesh and now Telangana, the success story is known to many of the people, right, in India. And many of them are emulating this model, right, to the respective states also in India. And some of the countries are also following it. So that's a really a big success story as far as what we are seeing today in Telangana is a result of lots of efforts, right, over decades, and many different governments in the combined Andhra Pradesh and subsequently the Telangana state. And the most interesting thing to note here is that whatever maybe the growth we went through in the last couple of decades, But in the last 8 to 10 years, right, the growth has been phenomenal. For example,
Right.
starting in 2014, 2015 to 2021, 22 or 22, 23 now, if you see the growth, right, the exports has increased more than 4 times, I would say, right, from 57,000 crores to almost 2 lakh 41,000 crores. And the employment has just increased by at least, I would say, 3 times. It was originally 3 lakh 20,000 or something in 2013, 14, and now it is about 9 lakh. So there's been a tremendous growth in the last 8 to 9 years after the Telangana was formed. And there are various reasons to it. I would say the leadership, right, from a government perspective, has been one of the key aspect. And of course, combined with the industry support and all that really kind of brought about a cumulative effect of the growth as well. I mean, if you look at the overall ecosystem, a lot of governments would have tried, just only selling the particular state, right? By claiming that, this is what we have done, this is what are the incentives that are available and all that stuff. But here, what has happened in Telangana is that in addition to doing that, they wanted to also create the necessary infrastructure, anticipating the growth. And whatever they were claiming the growth is going to be, they started creating the supporting infrastructure. I'm not talking about only the physical infrastructure, but there's also a soft infrastructure, which means the talent ecosystem. For example, they created an organization called TASK, Telangana Academy of Skills and Knowledge.
Skills and
Right? It's a
knowledge.
government-run organization which basically works towards skilling the students at a very early stage. There's been a phenomenal intervention, right, at an
Right.
academic level. And like that, the innovation ecosystem, they created something called T Hub, right? And that
And the village.
really supported, fostered the innovation and startup ecosystem in the state. So like that, I think they went about creating that soft, ecosystems around target of achieving that growth. And in addition to that, our Honorable Minister, K.T. Ramarao, and, with his team, they've been doing all kinds of marketing activities, tremendous activities. If
And
he
the
says
recent trip
they
to the
just go to
US by Mr. KTR has been very successful in the sense that they
absolutely.
have a lot of deals.
Absolutely. I mean, that happens every year. So every time he goes, he comes back with a lot of deals. And I mean, whether it is there or Economic Forum, World Economic Forum, right? Wherever, I think they're very passionate about what they're doing. And their goal is to kind of see Telangana getting to number one position, not only in India, but I think in the Southeast Asia, for that matter. With that said, I think the combination of everything and industry bodies like HYSEA, NASCOM, everybody come together, and we also support their initiatives and the programs. And wherever it is needed, we also do a pitch to sell Hyderabad and bring many potential investors to Hyderabad. I think it's a combination of multiple things, and Telangana is definitely a success story today with whatever we've achieved. And when I said that, it is being talked about as the AI capital of India, which is absolutely amazing, an incredible kind of an achievement. And I'm sure it will sustain and it will create a lot of impact as we move forward. As I mentioned, it is a combination of multiple efforts from the government, from the industry, and for the corporates and the investment community as well that created that ecosystem. And today we really achieved, as compared to the other states in India, a tremendous deal, and we're in a very, very, very good position. And it's not we're not far away from achieving number one position, beating Bangalore very soon.
Okay, now this particular rivalry has always been there, but beyond this particular thing, sir, now tell us something about your company and what are its offerings as solutions to various businesses.
The parent company is called Tech Triad, for which I'm the president and CEO. And we also have another company, a group company called FYI Solutions, that we acquired about 2 years ago. We've been growing organically and inorganically the last couple of years. And see, we try to just be different from other service providers in a way that we want to combine our competencies in both technical areas and also the verticals. Vertical meaning the industries. So when I say that, it just kind of a little common, but we're trying to just position ourselves a little differently in the sense that we provide, say, for example, the technical services which are very tailored to a particular industry. See, for example, iPaaS is an integration, right? Platform as a service, and the enterprise application integration, which is very common across many different industries. But we tailor that to suit a retail industry, right? I mean,
Okay.
we have expertise and competencies in there. So when we go to a retail customer, we talked about how we can just do this complete enterprise application integration in your model, right? In your business model, that would enhance your business processes and bring about a lot of efficiencies in your organization, right? So something similar to BFSI sector. BFSI, banking, financial services, insurance, they're very, very, adapted to quick changes, and they want to be bringing in lots of innovative things to the market very quickly. So with that said, we created some kind of a, solution leveraging DevOps, right? That's a new technology that's been in practice for the last couple of years, that we tailor it to the BFSI industry so that they can bring any new innovative products to the market very quickly. So something similar to the consumer industry where the cosmetics manufacturers and all that stuff, right? We create, business intelligence, solutions for them because we know when it comes to consumers or manufacturing companies, they work on, at very item level, right? And this called SKU. So we try to do solutions to create data warehousing and bring the granular data to, high level information for a CIO, CEO to make decisions. So all those kind of solutions we catered to a specific industry, and that's what we've been doing, and trying to make ourselves a little different from other service providers.
Okay, so that is your USP. So much of talk about AI, this chat GPT, and especially people from our field, from the media, are actually worried a lot, to be frank enough. And also the education industry. The other day, I just posed a question to my child, and he said, "Why should I even read? I'll just, have my chat GPT with me." Now, it is actually scary to a certain extent. And could you please kind of, do we ring the alarm bells? Is my question.
Yeah, I would say AI is a boom and also a kind of, maybe a challenge, right, to deal with. And the very common perspective of AI is going to eliminate jobs and all that stuff, is being talked about everywhere. In a way, it is right. The whole concept is right because that is where AI is trying to replace human in certain areas, not everywhere. All right. For that matter, the World Economic Forum also, deliberated on the topic, and they talked about, like say, it would potentially take away 85 million jobs globally by 2025. All right. But at the same time, it is going to generate close to 100 million new jobs, right?
Okay.
So when we talked about computerization about a couple of decades ago, oh, all
Right.
the
We had
computers are
similar
going to just
fears.
replace people. Yeah. So the same thing. We're going through that cycle again.
Right.
So AI will eliminate jobs which are very redundant in nature, right? Whether it's going to be manufacturing or any services industry, right? For that matter. And at the same time, it is going to create more value added jobs, right? I think that is where everybody needs to focus. And as we innovate, as we kind of go through our, the innovation life cycle, automatically we have to live a better life. We can't live a life that we lived about, like say 3 decades ago. In order to just live a better life, we need to see the surrounding ecosystem also enhances our life. So, which means you and I, maybe in our school days, what we were doing is little different from the kids what they do now, right? And they're very dependent on computers. And as you said, your kid, right, uses Chat GPT. I mean, yeah. So to enhance their competency, enhance their presentation, whatnot. But their intellectual capability should not be completely replaced by Chat
Yeah.
GPT. That's another big challenge, right?
Yeah. That is
But
a huge
I
challenge.
eventually, yes, yes. So I eventually see that there will be definitely some regulatory framework brought in by the countries and by the governments to make sure that AI is also used ethically. Right? That's a
Yeah.
very
Even some of
important
the
statement
states
I would make now.
in the US have banned ChatGPT in some of the schools I hear.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that should come as a regulatory framework, right? As a government policy, right? See, at the same time, government has to play a very balancing role. They cannot stop innovation. They cannot control innovation, right?
Right.
But they have to promote innovation in AI. Doesn't really, kind of disturb a common man, right? I mean, which means their livelihood should not be impacted. So to some extent, yes, but not to a greater extent, and that would really create a huge, a civil problem, right? So that is why I'm saying that there should be a regulatory framework. I'm sure it will be brought about soon, and so elimination of job, though it's a concern, but we have to look at the positive thing that it's going to create lots of new, jobs. For example, it could be in big data, machine learning, information security, digital marketing, all kinds of new different areas that it's going to create, because eventually that's going to work towards enhancing the productivity and efficiency of organizations. So organizations will try and adapt the new technology for their own competitive advantage. So AI is going to stay, and we have to go through the challenges that it creates. But at the same time, if you look at it positively, I think it will enhance the overall, human value chain in terms of learning and being innovative and being very productive.
So now, cybersecurity is another issue across verticals. Could you just
Yes.
some light on that?
You see, they say that the World War III is going to happen in front of the computers, right? When already you see so much of cyber attacks happening between, governments, right? I mean, China's attacking US or every day, every minute, and I mean that's a government-sponsored attack as well. I mean, it's all speculations, but we don't have the real data to support. Same time, some of the other countries, Russia, they keep just always targeting US government resources. It is a reality that this is going to happen in front of the computers, right? A third world war. That is the way the cyber threats are kind of evolving. And so if you look at cybercrime, we almost see, it's impacting the world, right, to the extent of 10 to 11 trillion dollars annually. And by 2025, it's going to just further increase, right? Every year, it just keeps increasing crazily. And so even in India, right, we have something called the NCRB, where they just report the crime, right? National Crime Report Bureau. And how many of us go and report really something happened to us? If it is a ransomware attack or malware attack, right? Or when something happens in front of the computer, right? A lot of people are being harassed in front of computers or mobile phones, or whatever, right? So sexual related harassments happening on the cyber world, right? With all that, how not many people are reporting to the government officials. So even with that, about close to 55,000 complaints have been registered. Cybercrime complaints have been registered all over India, but a year ago. So that keeps increasing every year, right? But this is only reported once. Imagine
Yeah.
how many goes unreported, right? So it could be, multiple times. The point that I'm trying to make is that individuals, corporates, nobody is going to be, let free with the cyber attacks. The If you look at the India registers almost about 16 lakh cases online fraud, right? I mean that's a number in the last past 3 years, and every state, every country is being impacted by that. And see, they can come in different forms, right? One is the malware, the phishing, ransomware, become increasingly common forms of attack, and can affect individuals and organizations, right? I'm not sure how much you hear, but since we have the cybersecurity practice, I get a lot of calls, right, saying that, sir, there's a malware attack. They completely, like encrypted our system. We're not able to do any transaction. Our computers are locked. What do we do, right? See, sometimes I guide them depending on the severity of attack. That what, you better just pay off those guys, all right, rather than messing up with them, because they have control completely. Shame. That is the way the situation is, because they are very, very smart enough to be able to do that. It's because of our mistake. Reason is we didn't really have very good, security systems, right, set up in our infrastructure. Our computers have to be very, very, carefully managed. They have to be completely secured. And not only the corporates, even individuals, your mobile phones, right? Look at how many, kind of situation that you get some malwares, entering into your laptops or your mobile phones, whatever, because there are a lot of phishing attacks, right? So the different forms of attacks, which basically, kind of target individuals and corporates. But I think most important aspect today is that awareness, right? People lack awareness. We have to bring about a lot of awareness on cyber crimes and cyber threats, and how do we have to mitigate them? How do we have to prevent them? And how do we have to report them, right? All that is a very, very important. And they say for the corporates, right, data is going to be the new oil, which means the cyber criminals are going to come after every organization looking for their data. They are going to come after every individual looking for the private data, personal data. Data is going to become the biggest, need of every
It's a
family.
double-edged sword.
Exactly. So I think that is one area India has to really step up in terms of creating a very responsive, very secure kind of like infrastructure.
Sir, as the former president of HYSEA, just tell us the three or four major achievements during your.
So, I was fortunate or unfortunate to be the president during the peak COVID time. Right? So, I took over in May 2020 virtually as a president, and I also moved out of the position 2022 May, and that was also done virtually. So, I thought that it was a great opportunity for me to be able to do a lot of intervention during the COVID-19 time, right? Because companies had to be completely literally shut down physically. They had to just move everything virtual. And the transition that happened, right, working with the government officials, working with the corporates and all that, it wasn't that, easy, very challenging. But we stood up and then made sure that the corporates were able to move, thanks to the government intervention, that we were able to move, from physical to a virtual environment. And most importantly, we didn't want to limit our services to IT industry alone, but we expanded our service to the public. What we did was during that time, so much of fear and challenges in terms of getting the necessity supplies, medicines, and the ICU beds, right, hospitalization, oxygen, whatnot. So we immediately recognized the demand of the common person and also the industry. At HYSEA, we created multiple forms of teams and worked with the corporates to be able to mobilize a lot of funds, right, and use those funds to build ICUs. And believe me, within just about a couple of months, we set up ICUs. And if you heard about this 100-bed ICU at TIMS, Telangana Institute of Medical Sciences, that was actually done by HYSEA, along with a lot of corporates who supported us. And like that, we just did a 10-bed ICU in multiple different districts of Telangana. All right. We worked with partners, we worked with the NGO partners, and also with the corporates to mobilize funds, and then again work with some of these medical equipment manufacturers, and do all that. So I think time was essence at that point in time. We were able to respond to it very quickly, and we did a lot of such interventions, and again providing volunteers, providing oxygen cylinders to some of these government hospitals. We actually adopted a government hospital in Kondapur, and we provided whatever that was needed to save lives. So I would definitely take pride and be very proud to say that we saved a lot of lives. All right. I mean, it could be many, hundreds of thousands, but
Yes,
whatever, even one life matters. So I think
yes.
that intervention was one of the biggest achievement, I would say. And we did not let go, anything, right, during the COVID time. And many people were talking about, what, IT industry is going to just go down, right, significantly because of COVID. But during the last 2 years, right, during the COVID time, the industry grew, right, significantly. The first year 2021 and 2022, we grew more than, like say 15, 16% or 20%. And this year, again, 30%, right? I think HYSEA has been doing a lot of interventions, right, to make sure that we work with the corporates and all the other partners and the government very closely to ensure that the industry gets what it deserves and what it requires, so that the momentum of growth is not stopped. So I think that way, the partnership with the government has been a great achievement to kind of, do what we could do.
And sir, you're also very passionate about women's security and safety. You have done a lot of work, and I think you should share some of the initiatives with our viewers.
Thanks for asking that question because I'm very passionate
I know
about
you're
it,
very
right?
passionate
And
about that area.
yeah, so I've been part of many different organizations. One such organization is called the Society for Cyberabad Security Council, for which I was the General Secretary for almost 4 years and subsequently Vice Chairman for about a year. It's an industry and IT industry and police department collaborated initiative. And see, there's always, help that is needed in the society. Always there is help needed, right? There's always certain issues that requires solution, requires support and massive support. One such thing is women's safety, all right? See, women have to be more safer in any, kind of society. We cannot call a society as a society which is safe enough unless otherwise women are safe, right? There's a very strong philosophy that I carry. So which means whether it's educated or uneducated, women living in the rural area or urban area, everywhere women are kind of definitely undergoing a lot of harassment. It could be domestic harassment or workplace harassment or harassment in the public place. So with all that, I think there was definitely a big need and still a need for us to work towards women's safety and empowerment. Women empowerment is a big concept, but women's safety is a subset of it. So we work towards what are the areas where we can do a lot of interventions, right, to empower women, whether it's economic empowerment or social empowerment or safety security or educational empowerment, whatever. I think as a part of that, we did a lot of interventions in Cyberabad Security Council. And after that, I moved on to Hyderabad City Security Council, where I'd continue to do the same interventions. And one of my major intervention is a She Shuttle. And She Shuttle is a kind of intelligent transport system powered by mobile app and GPS, which goes around in the IT industry in loops, carrying women, giving women the opportunity to be able to hop in, hop off at any different place for free. So that was a big intervention. I was recognized by the Telangana government for the service that I've done there. Something similar that I've done called a STREE. She triumphs through respect, equality, and empowerment, which basically works towards grassroots leadership of women in any given society. It could be just like say minority focused society or even in communities where people well HNIs live. So irrespective of the economic situation of the society or the
Right.
community, this particular intervention really helped in terms of women feeling more empowered, right, socially, and they kind of try and sit together, solve the problems with the help of the government officials in that particular area. So they solve their own problems in their own communities. That's the kind of concept. So I think when I can go, talking about it for
Right.
hours, but I think it's very close to my heart, and I will continue to just do that. And women, I only want to give a message to women that what, never feel insecure, right? I look at the government policies and government, like say regulations or government laws. It all protects you. Only thing is that you have to come out of your own fear and make sure that you leverage all this good support system around you to make yourself very empowered. Don't let others empower you, but you empower yourself, because there's so much of things in India through government interventions and social interventions. Women can easily empower ourselves. But what is important is you come out of your inhibitions, you come out of your own insecure feeling, and go be bold enough to report anything that happens at
Yeah.
workplace or at home. If you do not, express yourself, right, you'll be a victim. If you do not express yourself, if you do not act upon your safety, you'll be a victim. So I
Maybe
would
the
say,
baby that cries gets milk.
exactly, exactly.
So, thank you very much, sir, for really taking out time and sharing all your experiences with us. This is TP Venu, Editorial Head, IndiGlobal Media Network, signing off. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you very much, Venu. Thank you, Venu. Really appreciate talking to me today.
Thank you
Bye.
so much, sir.